Well, a very good evening to all the members present here. We at MIT welcome you once again in the 16th chapter of Alumni Connect. Today the topic of webinar is Careers in Programming. And we have the guest Radhika Sharma, alumni of IT Batch 2018, presently working in Paytm. Now can I request Mr. Naveen Kaushik IRO to welcome the speaker in the webinar. Naveen sir, can you hear me? Hello?
Yes, Ayush.
Yes, sir. I can hear you, sir.
Yes. I got a call from Akansha, ma'am.
Yeah, not an issue.
Today,
Yeah.
actually, I am attending this through my phone only.
Okay, not an issue, sir. Just welcome.
I think we can start
Radhika in the webinar. The webinar can start.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Hi, sir and Naveen sir. A very good afternoon to all of you.
Very good afternoon, Radhika. How are you?
Yes, sir, I'm good.
Very good, very good. Nice.
Yes, sir. Same here.
Ayush, we can start now.
Yes, you can start now,
Okay.
Sir. So, very good evening to everyone. And on behalf of MIT Meerut, I welcome you again for this series of Alumni Connect, MIT Alumni Connect, series number 16. We have today one more talent from MIT, from the Information Technology Department, 2018 pass out, Miss Radhika Sharma. She will tell today about the career in programming. What are the possibilities? What are the prospects in this career? And what are the things they can attract anyone to this charming field? So without wasting time, I welcome to Radhika to conduct this session further. Radhika,
Yes.
please.
I'm sharing my screen.
Yeah, sure.
But it is saying disabled.
Now
Yes,
check.
Ayush, you have to
Yeah.
do some changes.
Yeah. Already granted, sir. Now see Radhika.
Yes.
Yes, sir. Now I'm able.
Okay, perfect.
It's visible, Radhika.
So I hope you all are well during this pandemic. Please take good care. So as we all know that programming and the software engineering, it is a very vast field. There are n number of people who didn't have any idea about the enormous career opportunities that are available in this field and as a programmer. So I'm just starting. So firstly, careers in programming, for that we have to understand what actually programming is. So programming is how we get computers to solve our problems. So if we want our task to get by the use of the computer, we have to give instructions to it. Okay, so for these instructions, we use the programming languages, and who give these instructions? We as a programmer, we tell the machine as what we want to do with it and how our instructions get executed. So we use these machines to solve our day-to-day problems, and we can see that programming and these gadgets, they have become a part of our life, and we cannot just imagine our life without them. And these all are invented to make our lives very much easier. Okay. And So in this software development, there are many kinds of role, and every role has its set of challenges attached to it. Look, we cannot master every programming language that is out there in the market, because there are like n number of languages there. What we can do is we just learn the basics and decide what we are interested in and in what language we want to pursue a career, and we will master it with the course of time as we will learn it more in the industry. Okay. Yeah. So these are some of the choices. These are some of the aspects related in programming, like we have to give sequence running instructions in order. We have to make choices about what problem we want to solve through the use of the machine, and sometimes we have to repeat the same thing again and again. And these concepts are used in the inputs and outputs to store data, and we will solve the majority of our problems like that. Now, to like communicate with the machine, with the computer, we just can't speak like that as we generally speak in our language. They just can't understand that. We have to communicate with the machine in the programming language. So for that, the programming languages like C, C++, Java, HTML, and various other frameworks are invented to get our tasks done. And we use these languages according to our purpose, like what is our purpose, what software we are making, what is the industry requirement, what is our software requirement. Okay, so like there are many programming languages out there, but we just cannot say that this programming language is best. So every language has its own purpose and its advantages and disadvantages, and as I earlier said, it is used according to the need of the person and the need and the kind of software which we are developing. So before starting the various career fields, I just wanted to give a very small snippet of the code. This is the code which is in the C language, and this code just displays hello world. So we'll look into the code instruction by instruction. So first is hash include studio.h. Hash is the preprocessor directive, which is telling the compiler to include the studio.h file. Studio.h is a file which contains the input and output functions like printf and scanf. So if we didn't include the studio.h file, printf and scanf function will not work and the compiler will give us error. The next is int main. So main is required in every C program. Without it, the execution of the program will not it will not start. Then we are calling the printf function with the argument hello world. So whatever we write in the printf function, it just directly displays in the output. And the return 0. Return 0 is the exit status of the program, and the program is terminated from here. So this just simply presents, it will display the output as hello world. Okay. The next is in the depth detail, whatever I have said earlier about the program. Now, the various career paths in this field. Also, the demand of the software developers and the programmers is always high in the market. This is I think this is the only market in which the demands of these people is not it is getting high day by day and it is not reducing. So technology is a very emerging field, and we can see like day by day new technology is coming to make our lives easier, to get things done in the fastest way possible. So often people get confused about what are the various fields, what is the job role, and what is the technology stack that we need to learn for that. So today we are gonna look at these perspectives. So these are some of the fields that I have mentioned in this presentation, like front-end developers, mobile engineers, there are game developers, back-end application developers, data scientists, QA, test automation developers, tools and enterprise software developer. Then we have embedded system developer, Linux kernel, full stack developer, language compiler developer, cloud, Java, and the Python developer. We will look into that one by one, and we will study in depth about some of the highest emerging fields like full stack developer or high demand fields, like we have here the front end developer field. Data scientist is a very emerging topic nowadays, and Python is very popular because of the machine learning and the AI development that is going around the world nowadays. Okay, so first is the front end development part. It is
Excuse me, Radhika. Excuse me.
Yes.
Ayush, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
Can I leave the meeting because I have to join another meeting?
Yeah, sure, sure, sir. Not an issue, sir.
Radhika, please continue the session.
Okay.
I have to join. I have to join another meeting.
Okay, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, welcome. Okay, so we are talking about the front end part. In the front end technology, so front end is my personal favorite things. I used to do a lot of front end development during my college days, and I love making interfaces and the websites, like using HTML and CSS. So what is front end? Front end is what we see on the website, like the interfaces. We interact with the application through these interfaces. So this interface development comes under the front end development part. And now front end is not only limited to the UI perspective. We have the customer experience added in it also, which is called as UX designing. So in the UI part, we only focus on the interfaces, or the look of the website. But in the US, so from the customer perspective, we have to think about the user experience. How, if someone visits our website, what is their experience? Is it easy enough to like navigate on into our website, and is the website easily loading, or it's taking much time? So this comes under the UX designing part. Now, some front-end technologies, front-end development starts from the very basic learning of the HTML and CSS, but is not limited only to these. So here I have mentioned some of the technologies that are used in the front-end development, like HTML, CSS, JavaScript, Angular, and the React.js. So HTML is the scripting language, and it contains elements, and it is used to structure the web. While CSS is used to styling the web pages. Cascading style sheets is the full form of CSS. And JavaScript is used to make our web pages interactive and to provide some functionality into our web pages and the websites. While Angular.js is our open source front-end framework, and the React.js is a JavaScript library. They both are open source. Okay. Front-end development that keep in mind while designing the front end from the industry perspective. Like, we have to take care of the user interface and the experience as well. We have to think of the responsive design. So responsive design means if we are coding, if we are making interface of a page, so it should be same for a tablet and on a laptop or a computer. Like, the design should not get distorted while it is visible on different platforms. So that is responsive designing, that it should be scalable to all the devices. So for that, we have to insert some media queries, we have to use Bootstrap. So these, but this you will learn in the industry more to make scalable websites and responsive. We have to think of the software workflow. We have to do real-time programming, as if our product is real-time, and production and maintenance. We have to think from these perspectives also. Now, this is a very basic HTML code that very, very basic. Now, okay, so we'll first start with doc type HTML. So this tells our browser that the document is of HTML type. Then we use the HTML. It is the root element of our page. Then inside head comes title, which shows in the navigation bar. It just tells about what is what page is about what thing and what information does it contains. Then in body contains the visible part of our page. Anything which we want to display comes under the body part. Here we just have two tags, two elements, H1 and P, in which we have written this is a heading and this is a paragraph. So when we will run this code in our browser, these two things will get displayed. Also, we need to close these tags. However, it is not recommended in HTML that closing is not necessary, but it's a good practice to close all the tags that we use in HTML. And then we have closed the body tag, and then we have closed the HTML. It will display something like that. This is a heading and this is a paragraph. So we have, as we have used the H1 tag, so which is used for to display heading, and the paragraph tag is normally displayed onto the browser. Now comes mobile engineers. So we use many applications in our phone. We even use very basic applications like calculator, torch, calendar. So these are developed by the mobile engineers. Also voice recorder and the music player. They just closely work with the designers and take care of every single thing. So as mobile apps comes for two different platforms, Android and iOS. So for the Android development, if we want to develop apps for Android, then we have to learn Java. And if we want to develop apps for the iOS platform, then we have to learn the Swift language. Also, Java is very much widely used, not just in these apps. It is also used to develop some other applications as well, which we will look after it. Now come game developers. So we play a lot of games, and there are millions of games out there on the Play Store and the Apple Store. So if someone who is really interested in drawing graphics and animations, then game development is the field for you. However, we use different frameworks to create different games for platforms. So some of the platforms or frameworks are game engines like Unity, Unreal Engine, CryEngine, Corona SDK, SpriteKit that we use for the various game developments. Also, game development is a really good field, and you will be paid really well if your game hits a million, just like PUBG and some other games. Now, the backend development part. Backend is a bit complex. So backend is the thing. If you want to register for some company on the website, you have put your details, you have clicked the submit button, so your details got registered for that company, and you have received a confirmation note from the company, okay, that you are registered. So how all this is done, how your details got transferred onto that website and saved, and you have got a confirmation. So the functionality behind that is called the backend development. So backend developer is responsible for the server-side web applications, and definitely it has to get integrated with the front-end development part, because users will only see the front-end part, and the functionality behind that is developed by a backend developer. So our backend developer will write the code for the server-side development. He is responsible for maintaining the database, use of different kind of APIs. He has to keep in mind the architecture of the system, scripting languages. All of this you have to keep in mind while you're working for an industry, and You have to make a very, very scalable product. Then you have to think it from the scratch, because you have to make the system scalable. And so you have to keep in mind all of the things to make a robust architecture. So to become a backend developer, you should have good problem solving skills. You have to think analytically and good logical skills, and the use of any server-side programming language. You have to learn the server-side languages. So backend is not just related to the backend coding, but these are some other aspects of the backend as well. Like we have to think about what servers to use, how to interact with the database. We have to take care of the security, because when we are making a big software or a big system, we have the probability that it might get attacked by the hackers, as the softwares who are used in the industries are always a potential they're always the so the use of the APIs, business logics, we have to think what operating system to use. We have to make the system scalable. So if millions of users come to our system and they just start entering the data, so it doesn't get down or hang. It should work while operating these millions of users. What frameworks with use. Also, when we store a lot of data, the data analysis is very, very important. It also helps in making patterns and trends. Based on the patterns and trends, this comes under another field like data analysis. Okay, we'll talk about that. Now the backend tech stack that we use for the backend development is Ruby, Python, PHP, C#, Node.js, Spring. These are some of the frameworks as well. However, you don't need to master all the languages. You just focus on one language because it's not possible to learn every language and every syntax out there. You will learn it according to the industry needs and for what company you will work for. This is just a basic comparison between the front-end developer and the back-end developer. So like the front-end developer is thinking about creating a very good user interface and the outstanding user experiences. So a front-end developer need to be creative and imaginative in order to put your thoughts onto the screen and make your website really, really presentable. While a back-end developer is thinking of building dynamic websites with a robust architecture. So he should be detail-oriented and analytical. Thinking is very much required. Also, we have to build scalability as the system shouldn't be down or hanged if more and more users will come to our product and register on that. As we have heard, sometimes the website gets down, the government websites are not working when some result is released. So that shouldn't happen. And in order to prevent that, we have to make our architecture robust. From robustness, we means that it should be able to work or cope during if any error happen or in the event of a catastrophe. So there should be proper error handling, and this comes under robustness. Now, application developer are they create any kind of software which is used by the consumers or as a person or in the market, that like PowerPoint we use, word processor, Google Docs, and other kinds of software that are available by the Google or any other thing that we have on the Play Store as well. We have different kinds of apps. So these are applications. These are developed using the languages Java, C++, or Oracle. Tools and enterprise software developers. These develop software which is not commercially published or sold, means it is not available for the general public and other people. These are just created within an organization and the use is limited only to that people. It is created to make their job easy and fast. So enterprise developers, they have to do a proper requirement gathering of the persons and the product. They should have a deep understanding of the organizations and everything. Now, data scientist, as I'm earlier talking about, this is a super trendy topic nowadays, and the demand of the data scientist is very, very high because the data on the websites like Facebook, WhatsApp, and other apps is increasing day by day, and it's very important to do the data analysis of that. So to be a data scientist, we need to learn machine learning, and for that we should be interested in mathematics and stats because we need to do a lot of statistics on the data. And on the basis of the data, we have to come up with some trends or patterns that will help in our business or whatever purpose for which we are doing the data analysis. In the data analytics part, they dig into the data because they are responsible for handling and organizing very large amount of data. And for this machine learning and the data analysis, we have to learn two languages, Python and R. These are widely used by the data scientists. As we see industries and these apps, they have a huge amount of data. So that's why the demand of the data scientist is increasing very much day by day. These are some of the skills that a data scientist must have. For the maths and stats, he or she should learn machine learning, statistic modeling, clustering, regression analysis. But you will study these topics during the course of your BTech as well. I think most of the topics you will learn that during your 4-year journey. And I must say that whatever the topics you will learn, it is the foundation of what you will do in your upcoming years. And it is very, very important. Next is programming and database. For that, you will have to learn big data, Python, data visualization, and the CS fundamentals. Communication and visualization, I think communication is the basic skill that is required in every field. If you're not able to present your views in front of others, then it is a bit hard to survive. For that, also for visualization, we should learn Tableau and other art designing tools. Also, we should have the domain knowledge and the soft skills required in this field. Now, QA test and the automation. So we have heard of the software testers, manual testing, automation testing. So the job of a tester is to run the code and to test the software which is developed and to find the number and to find bugs before releasing it to the customer or to the public. So they analyze the test results, and on the basis of that, a report has been formed and provided to the developer team to change the code, or these bugs are happening, or the system is behaving in an unexpected manner. This comes under testing. So these are some of the skills that is required in testing. Like we should be aware of the software development life cycle, SDLC, software testing life cycle, bug reporting, and most of the things are common as required in previous job roles, like project management, communication skills, analytical skills. This is required, this is common to every other field. Now, software testing life cycle. So this begins with the requirement analysis. First, we need to gather what is required for the product, and then a whole test planning has been done, and then the test cases are developed. Test cases developed, after that we set up the environment in which the testing is done, and according to that, after the test executions are performed, and on the basis of these results, we convey our feedback to the developer team. This is a QA process stages. Again, this is same. Any process begins with the requirement analysis things, and whole planning is done, designing is done. Then after that, execution. And if we find any defects, then they are reported to the team. After the reporting and the changes has been done to the product, again we perform retesting and the testing, and if everything is correct, we will just release the product. This is a simple test process which is showing the previous things in just in a different manner. Now, apart from these fields, they are some of the not so famous fields, but they are very much important. Algorithm science, software development. So you will also learn data structure and algorithms. This is a very, very important subject, because when you do coding, you have to design the algorithm of the problem first, and then you have to do code according to that. Also, this involves a lot of algorithm development, involves a lot of research for the bigger products like Google Maps and other products. So for algorithm developers, either develop new algorithms or they optimize an existing one. In their work involves researching, a lot of paper reading, and turning academic concepts and theory into the real life solutions. The example is there. Someone who wrote Google Maps to go from one place to another in the shortest time possible. So some algorithm has definitely been used here, as we have to go from one place to another with the shortest path possible and in the shortest time. So for that, many researchers and scientists are employed by the universities and big companies like Microsoft or Google. And this involves problem solving skills with a lot of optimization and quantum computing, and it requires a lot of research work. So before developing or just framing an algorithm, before that we have to do a lot of research work. Now, embedded system developers, they write very low level code that powers the system. This kind of code is used in our day-to-day appliances like refrigerator, printer, oven, and other kind of electronic items we use. So as we see, programming is everywhere. Whatever we are using, it's all because of the programming, and there is a coding behind it that is making it work. So this runs potentially before the operating system even loads. And these developers work on the real-time OS, and they write the code which is needed by the hardware to function properly. And also for the coding, they have to work closely with the engineers, because they will write the device drivers. For that, you need to have a good understanding of the hardware and software aspects, and also the low level and the high level languages like Java, XML, Python, scripting, C, C++, and other things. And these are some of the companies like Qualcomm, Intel, HCL, Tata Elxsi that hire embedded software engineers. Now Linux kernel and OS developers. So before any so every time we need an operating system to run any type of program on our system, laptop, computer, phone, everything has an operating system of its own. So these developers, they develop the operating software, which is needed by our programs and processes to run on. So the operating system development involves scheduling the different processes, and as we use our phone, we use multiple apps at one time, which is just we switch between different kinds of apps, like we are playing music and then we are messaging someone, we have opened some another kind of application. So this all is managed by the OS, and this switching between the two process, this is all managed in the OS development part. However, this is a pretty complicated thing. We should choose our field on the basis of the thing that is in which we are interested, and not on the basis of what someone else is doing. And like before we enter into the industry, I think it's very important to figure out what is in what field we are interested in, on what language we want to work on. If we go into the front end part, on the back end development, full stack, if we want to become a cloud developer. So on the basis of that, we learn the language that is required to go into that field, and we will master it according to that. Yeah. Then full stack developers. So it is a very, very emerging field nowadays. However, the role of a full stack developer is very hard. So full stack developer is a person who is working on the front end and the back end part both. In addition to the HTML and CSS, he or she should know about how to program a browser, how to use a server. Means he or she should have the knowledge of everything from the front end to the back end part, and how to interact with the database using SQL or the MongoDB. These are some of the basic skills that are required for the full stack developer: HTML, CSS, and the JavaScript, then Node.js, SQL. This is the same, that is the languages that a full stack developer should know, from the front end to the back end to the database, everything. Now, language and compiler developers. We use different languages to create applications. But if we talk about who created these languages, suppose we use C or Java, but there must be some person who have invented these languages. So this come under a language or a compiler developer. Someone has created C, C++. So there are tons of languages and multiple ways to invent one language. And as we see in the market, there are many languages that are launched day by day. So we use Python, but the engineers who have created these languages, they have to study from very basic, the fundamentals and organization of how computer language is actually structured. Compiler developers, they write the code for the implementation, which convert this code to machine language so that a computer can understand. So as we will write in our language, we all know that the compiler that converts our language into the machine language so that a computer can understand. Now, Java developer. Java is developed by the Sun Microsystems in 1995, and it is the popular and most widely used language. It is widely used because of its effectual processing speed in games, applications, and software. it is widely used in the web-based applications and also for the multiple platforms. So why we use Java? Because as we know, it is platform independent. We just have to write the code once and we can run it on any machine, provided it should have the Java virtual machine. So we can develop server-side applications for stores, and we can process HTML forms. By the use of Java, we can combine applications and services. We can write powerful and efficient applications for mobile phones, processor, microcontrollers. So as we can say that Java is used in every field, in everything. So this is some features of Java. It's an object-oriented language. It's a platform independent. It is much more secure as compared to other languages. It is portable and it is architecture neutral. Now next comes Python developer. So we can say Python is a general purpose coding language, which means that unlike HTML, CSS, it is just used in the front-end development. However, we can use Python in other fields as well besides web development. So this can be used in back-end, data science, writing scripts, and other things as well. So these are some of the uses of the Python in the IT industry. So it can be used in the web, internet development, scientific and numeric computing, software development, application, and we can use Python for the various data science projects. These are some of the frameworks of Python: Django, Pyramid, Falcon, Flask, Bottle, and there are many more frameworks like that. So that's all from my side. I hope you all like the presentation and you can get I hope you are enlightened by the career paths that I have described in that. So if you have any questions, you can ask me. Hello, Ayush sir?
Hello?
Hello. Yes, sir.
Yes, Radhika.
Yes, sir. Done with the presentation.
You done with the presentation?
Yeah.
Okay. It was an excellent session taken by you. You covered each and every point that even if somebody has not a background of the programming, they may be able to understand how to apply the logics.
Yes, sir.
Let me check once if somebody has asked. Participants can write their queries in the chat box. If anybody has any query, any point of time, anything was not understood by you people, then you can write in the chat box. Well, in the meantime, I have shared the feedback form link also with all of you so that e-certificates can be sent within 2 to 3 working days. Okay, just raise your hand. I will grant you the access so that you can ask the question. Just a second. Anybody
Yes,
has
sir.
raised the hand? I think in the chat box somebody has written something. Okay. In questionnaire session we have 3 questions. Okay. Somebody is asking Radhika,
Yeah.
by the name anonymous attendee, why we need JavaScript? What is the need of JavaScript?
So JavaScript is used to make our websites interactive. We can insert animations by using JavaScript, and we can do data validation by the help of JS.
I hope the question is clear. The answer is clear to the anonymous attendee who has asked the question. Okay. Now next we have another question. Akshit Sangwan. Shobit wants to ask something. Shobit, I am granting you access so that you can ask the question. Shobit. I hope Shobit, yeah. Yeah, Shobit, you can ask your question. Akshat, I am also granting you access, Akshat Sangwan. So you can also ask your question one by one.
Hello, am I audible?
Yeah, you are audible, Shobit.
Yeah. First of all, thank you so much for sharing your experience and your information. It is valuable. Yeah, my question is about that. Is it the data science is also beneficial for the people having the programming background or for the developer? And if it is, then how it would be benefit?
Look, you have to do programming or coding in any field related to tech. Data science is we are digging into the trends. We are using Python and R. So this also involves coding and programming. This is helpful in the way, suppose we have the data from an e-commerce website. We have the data from what products on which the customers are looking at. So from this trend and whatever the data we have accumulated from, we can put sale on the product or we can lower the prices if we say the customer has just seen it or not purchased it. So suppose we have put sale on that and we got very much sales, or if the product got stock out. So on the basis of these, we helped our company to improve the sales, or this data sciences can be used in this manner, and there are much more uses of data science. It's not just related to this, not just limited to this only.
Okay, thank you.
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening.
Yes, ma'am. I just want to ask from you that how can I basically contribute to those open source projects like the one organized by the Google, like GSOC?
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. So I can how I can basically contribute to those, or I can participate. How can I participate in those projects?
You can use GitHub. Also, for the open source contribution, there are many websites through which you can submit your codes and it can be seen by the number of people. There are also various programming challenges, or we have platforms like this HackerRank, on which we can submit our source code for the problems. As you must be aware, there are number of problems out there and our code can be seen worldwide. So through this, you can contribute to the open source.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Ma'am, like I'm basically a novice to this programming world. I'm just entering this programming world. So I have started with C language.
Yes.
Yes. Ma'am, what should I basically do to enrich my skills in those? Yes, ma'am.
The only way to improve coding is to make programs. Make number of programs, and so start from the basic one. Go to the HackerRank or platforms like this on which there are multiple coding problems. So once you will start doing basic, then just move to intermediate and then to the advanced levels. So through this, you can improve your coding skills.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Done.
Anybody? One more question we have, Radhika. Okay, that is answered live of Akshat.
Yeah. Great.
Well, I think that we have no more questions now.
Yes.
Yeah, let me check it once again. Refreshing the stream. No, we don't have more questions now.
much, sir, for